Hey guys, in today's video, I just want to run through how we help the Shopify brand increase their revenue by almost 72% and increase the conversion rate by 97.39% with one simple split test. Now, this brand, just for context, is a supplement brand and they sell sexual health supplements essentially. They recently launched, they had another brand that was quite successful selling something in a completely different niche, but also supplements, and they recently launched this brand as well. Now, for context, if you don't know who I am, my name is Nail. I'm the founder of Creative E-commerce. We are a Shopify conversion rate optimization agency based in the UK, and we predominantly help Shopify brands with things like this, increasing conversion rates, increasing average order value, all that good stuff. Now, you can see here we have our IntelliGems dashboard open up. I like to use IntelliGems for split tests. It's just pretty easy to put together, and IntelliGems is pretty cheap as well. Right now, you can see revenue per visitor is up by 71.58%, and then conversion rates are up by almost 100% as well. What you'll notice here is that we ran an ABCD test. And so I'm going to run through exactly what we tested and why we feel like it worked. But first, let me just show you there were three test groups. So we had the control group, and then we had variation one, which we called clinical, and then we had variation two, which we called infographic. Now, I'll show you over here what the original product page looked like. So for context, all of the tests were different product pages. So we rebuilt an entire product page from scratch and we tested two variations of it. This is what the product page used to look like. So you can see not that great. This is an old theme, so this section wasn't there with the empty carousel. But like this was all pretty much the same. Very short product page. There were some nice images here that kind of explained the product a little bit better. But yeah, really like kind of ugly old school product page. And to be fair, they were actually converting with this and they were actually generating revenue, which just goes to show sometimes, if you have a good enough product and good enough marketing, you can still convert fairly well. Having said that, though, there was obviously a lot of room for improvement. So we took this kind of ugly product page, we redesigned it into two variations. We had variation one, which was this clinical side of things. This is the above the fold section over here. You can see we highlight key ingredients, all the normal stuff inside of the accordions as well. Some UGC content that they created also, how it works section, some more information about the product, and then we go to customer reviews as well and FAQs and so on. I'll switch this to mobile view as well so you guys can take a look on mobile also. So you can see here, again, highlighting the benefits above the fold, very clinical and precise and just a lot more information about the product. Now we switch to variation 2, which is pretty much exactly the same. Really the biggest difference is just we have these icons here. So you'll notice above the fold, which is the most important section on your product pages. In this one we have a lot of text, whereas in this one we have a lot of icons, right? And so our thought process was, if we have less text and more visual stuff, it'll probably perform a little bit better. And I'll let you guys decide what you think will perform better out of this above the fold section versus this above the fold section as well. Now, as we scroll down to the page, it's very much all the same stuff. Video reviews, a bunch of how it works sections and things like that and so on. I'm going to shut this for a sec just because it was very loud. And then we'll open it back up over here. So yeah, that's pretty much the two tests that we ran. You can see obviously a big increase, a big change in visually in how these product pages look. So let's go through the different product pages and how they performed infographic versus clinical inside of the actual tests. So if I go to the results section over here, right now I'm looking at the clinical section. That theme, that product page, excuse me, performed the best. But we can also see the results for the infographic one as well. Infographic was up by 72%, 2.66% per visitor. Whereas actually, I didn't realize that. So the infographic was actually performing better from a revenue point of view, but clinical had much higher conversion rates, it seems like. So that might have been a traffic type of thing. Either way, they both did really well, but definitely clinical had much higher conversion rates at 3.51%. So just check this out, guys. Conversion rates went from 1.78 to 3.51. And that's insane, right? Because you imagine that you convert 1% of your traffic right now, and then your conversion rate to go up by 97%. You're basically going from a 1% conversion rate to a 2% conversion rate. That's like doubling the size of your business just by changing your website, which is insane, right? Because typically a lot of work goes into doubling the size of your business. You've got to do a lot more than just change a product page. But that's the power of conversion rate optimization, right? So yeah, this was really just a quick roundup of how this went. I really just wanted to show you guys what the new pages look like and what one did better. I think some of the reasons why these product pages did better were partly just because they look nicer. I was surprised that conversion rates were higher on the more wordy above the fold section as opposed to the icon-based one, which is what I thought would perform better, which I guess it did very, very slightly from a revenue point of view. but not so much from a conversion rate point of view. Okay, so I pulled up the Microsoft Clarity data. So for those of you who don't know, Microsoft Clarity is just a free tool that you can download onto your website. We like to use it on Shopify stores paired with Intelligence. Intelligence we use for running A/B tests, and then Clarity we use to essentially dissect what's working and what's not working on the website. What are people clicking on? What are they not clicking on, etc. So right now I'm in the heat map section, which is quite useful. And inside of heat maps, you kind of have these three main maps that we focus on. The tap map, which is where people click the most, the scroll map, which shows how far people scroll on the page on average, and the intention map, which shows where the people stop and focus their time and attention on the page. So I'm going to switch over to the scroll just for a second here because I want to see how much of the new product page people are actually seeing. Generally, we don't see that many people scroll that far down on the page, and so I think that probably below the above the fold, maybe around the UGC content section, we're going to see pretty significant drop off. So obviously 100% of people land at the top of the page because that's when the page loads. 75% of people see the buy buttons, and then 50% of people will see the rest of the page here. So this is interesting because that means that roughly only 23% of people are actually seeing this UGC content. Whereas most people are only experiencing this above the fold section. So basically just over half, right? Or just under half, excuse me, of people are seeing this above the fold section, which is what's driving most of the increase in conversions. And then you've got some people that are seeing the him and her bundle. And we saw some discrepancy between the two templates in terms of revenue. I think probably one might have gotten a couple of bundle purchases, which is why it was slightly higher, even though conversion rates perhaps are a little bit lower. And then about 30% of people are seeing this ingredient chart. So what would be useful next is for me to see where people are focusing their attention. So, okay, they're scrolling that far, but are they just scrolling there and then scrolling back up or jumping off the page? Or they're actually spending a lot of time looking at those sessions. So we have good attention here. And then as we come down, there is more attention. Slightly less attention here. So what we do see is there's a lot of attention here in terms of how it works. A lot of people are spending a lot of time here. You can see average time spent 5% of total session time. A lot of these infographic style stuff people are spending not very much time on at all. And then reviews. People are seeing reviews. Some people on FAQs, but not that much. So what that tells us then, what we can presume from this is actually it seems like the how it works section is one of the most important sections on the entire page. It seems like a lot of people want to see how the product works as opposed to focusing on other parts of the product page. And so an immediate test that we might run here is not to change any code on the page or do anything too complicated. It would just be, let's take this section, this how it works section that a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to, and then let's move it further up on the page. Like what happens if we move it above the UGC content, right? Because typically you would say UGC content probably more important than the how it works. They're both important, but you'd probably sequence it like this, UGC, then how it works. Let's flip it and let's just see how it goes. And what that would mean is that if I switch back to the scroll map, the scroll map will tell me how much more people will actually see that section, and potentially we can increase conversions based on that. Because if right now roughly 23% of people make it to the UGC content, or now only 17% of people are actually making it to the how it works section. So you're seeing a drop off from 23% to 17% between these two sections, which means if I nudge how it works further up on the page, a lot more people will see it. And if it is something that the whole demographic of visitors find interesting, and everyone who's interested in this product does want to know how it works before they purchase it, then we should see a big increase in conversion rates. And then what we can do if we do see a big increase in conversion rates when we move the how it works section up, because more people are seeing it and more people interact with it and then they go and make a purchase, then we can start to build something bespoke that fits into the above the fold section. Something clearly that says how it works and then build that custom into the above the fold section. So there's some insight into how the templates are working as well from a clarity point of view. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Hopefully it gives you some ideas as well for working on your own Shopify stores. If you do want to work with us on your Shopify store and you would like to see a similar increase in your conversion rates, then please do check out the links in the description. Otherwise, I wish you guys all the best. Please remember to subscribe as well, because I do try and post quite regularly. I'm going to try and be a bit more regular in the coming weeks, and I wish you guys all the best.